everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is a LongStache deck casual part 2 for the Oracle of the Hekatean Path by Kenn Payne, who is right there, and illustrated by Chris Butler,
that way,
who is all the way at the end. So, Ritchie, Longman Tarot, life happened, isn't going to be here.
Life happened. It's not the same, is it?
Well, it's not the same.
Never mind.
Everything with Ritchie is better.
It is.
I mean, truly. So
everything with Ritchie is more naughty, basically.
Okay, now I cannot endorse that because he is not here to defend himself. So
yeah, I think he'd be happy for me to say that anyway.
Okay. Well, goodness. So how have the two of you been since we last talked?
Yeah, good. I've just been kind of watching it all unfold and sort of getting that sort of little excitement every time I see a post or a video or something of somebody utilizing it. So I've kind of just been enjoying that, really.
Yes. And I do have, yeah, okay.
It's lovely to have watched it unfold and actually just getting little messages, you know, through both our channels of people saying how much they're enjoying the deck, which has totally made all the hard work worthwhile. It's just, it's a thrill to see people enjoying this and actually richly benefiting from it. So I couldn't be happier.
Well, I do have to share, this is part 2. Part 1 is in the description, as well as links to where you can purchase responsibly. You can know your limits because we are here to share, not to sell. But Kenn, you sent a message in the group chat like the day after that this was like at the top of their Amazon's list or something like that.
Yeah, it's been kind of performing quite admirably, really, on the especially the Amazon US charts. It was the #1 new release in Goddesses and Witchcraft for a number of weeks on its release, and then it's kind of sort of stayed sort of in the sort of top 10, top 15 for a good few more weeks. And it's kind of generally been within the top 30,000 books generally, which is, you know, mind-blowing.
Congratulations. That is beautiful. And so I just want to, I'm going to put that light. I was trying to play with the light and do all that stuff so that I could look as handsome as the two of you. It's not.
You look glorious, darling. It's fine.
And I'm very excited to have the two of you back because during our first conversation, we went into some great depth about the creation of it and how it was for the two of you to work together. I encourage people to go and watch that. So it's actually on all of our channels.
Yes,
because we're simulcasting that. How about we say hello to the best lurkers?
Oh yeah,
chatters. And yes, this is simulcasting. We can see all of the chat. You may not. I will do my darndest to make sure that you are in the know. Barbara Ruth is here. Hello, Barbara.
Hi, Barbara.
Jonathan Daly is here.
Hello, Jonathan.
Performance. And Madame Maru is House of Cards. Marita is here. Good to see you. And oh, look, here you go. She is putting in links and all of the links.
Oh, thank you.
Chris, Elemental Cardomancy is here.
Hi, Chris.
Good to see you, Chris. Thank you for being here. There you go. I love it.
Oh, bless.
And here is Robert. And I shared on my community tab. Robert honored me by having me come to his channel, and he interviewed me, and it was delightful. Delightful. Robert, you are much more hard on yourself than you need to be. I had a great time. I had
Robert Love, read his lips. He means it.
It was great. And, you know, I'm like going, gee, I wonder if Robert would come on my channel to do an actual live casual. But Robert is actually interviewing somebody else soon.
Oh, yeah.
Who might he be interviewing? There you go. There you go. So, yeah, it's me, surprise. So definitely pay attention to that, everybody. Thank you. Oh, mods, please be careful. Watch this one.
That's me.
I know. I know. And Robert is in Arizona.
Oh.
So don't be tracking him down. We have the amazing Nancy of Crohn's Intuition.
Hi, Nancy.
Who is going to be doing readings with me on Monday morning with Jane the Seeker. Elspeth is here. Elspeth, yes. Pia's Eclectic Life. Philippa is here. Philippa, yeah. Harley, good to see you. Thinking of you when the notification came on. Good. Jean Bowles is here.
Hi, Jen.
Lovely to see you. And Chris, I've been spending some time with your friend, the lovely Marion Kay.
Oh, wow. She's a force of nature.
She's actually quite charming, and I saw a video that Chris did with her.
I love Marion.
For each other. It was quite wonderful.
I ended up sharing a table with Marion at the UK Tarot Conference last October, and just
I love it.
Chaos ensued in all the best ways. Oh, it's Fran. Hi, Fran.
Here. Delphi Ross is here.
Hi, Delphi.
Donna Riedler is here.
Donna.
Right now we have 21 people who are here because they want to hear about this deck from the two of you. How's that make you feel?
Oh.
Kiva is here.
I'm going to go and hide.
Okay. Let's make that easier for you. How's that?
Oh, no. Don't put me big. Don't put me big.
That's evil.
Have we met, Chris? Let's see. Donna Riedler, Harley, Nancy. Maruta is actually putting on is putting in links so people can purchase responsibly. Oh, you know, everyone buy it is what Chris says, because I'm always doing this. Purchase responsibly. And Chris, did you buy it? Did you buy it, Chris?
Well, which Chris?
Chris. Elemental Cartomancy. Yeah, because you didn't have to buy it. You should have gotten multiple copies.
We got a couple of freebies.
Yes.
Thankfully.
Donna should be getting their copy of the deck next week. Free Spirit is here. Hello. And Nancy is. I love the deck, but I'm hoping of more comprehensive guidebook to dive into.
Oh, I'd heard somebody might be writing a more comprehensive guidebook at some stage. Is that true?
I wonder who that could be.
I wonder who that could be.
There is definitely one in the works.
He's doing the bigger book, and it'll be brilliant.
I love it. I love it. So, okay, here you go. I need to order another deck because the one I have is for devotional work only. Well, and that's interesting because I'm going to bounce around. Actually, I'm going to here. For those of you who've not seen this, let me do this because Chris created something and I'm going to show this little video now.
Yes.
That was great. And that is a teaser. By the way, do you have that on your channel?
Do you know, I can't remember whether I do. I don't think I put it up yet.
Because I think Ken should probably put it up too, but you know, no pressure. We
We have got, in fact, I think the last one's gone live today, hasn't it? Because
Yes.
we've been doing a series of sort of in-depth walkthroughs of the cards, which are on Sacred. They're on Sacred Tarot at YouTube. But I kind of forgotten the obvious, and I've not put the 30-second teaser up, I don't think.
Well, and that's the thing. On Sacred Tarot, the two of you have shared your love and your excitement of creating this treasure of a deck.
Yes.
To which, and I'm getting tingles as you know saying this, Ken. It's very pleasing. A particular goddess is extremely pleased with what you've done, because this little deck is a tool for you to learn about, to do devotion to get insight from, and to see aspects of yourself that are mirrored in the goddess.
Yeah.
Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, that's pretty much everything that that's like my tick list of everything that I wanted it to do.
Okay. And so, you know, and I mentioned that because Robert talks about how it's for devotional work, and devotional work means different things to different people. And the great thing about it is it's very affordable. And so if you want to get a copy, if you are a reader and you want to use it with the public, it's possible to get 2 copies of it. So, I do have to put this up. I see it, Robert. You're saying I'm a treasure. Actually, I don't know if, well, I know Ken's a treasure and I know Chris is a treasure. So, I mean, Ritchie's a treasure. I'll be a treasure too.
Oh, Donny, you're a treasure. We
Jana
do rather like you, you know?
Well, thank you. Well, I'm fond of the 2 of you too, and I'm fond of everybody in chat. Jana is here.
Hi, Jana.
Beth, Aspasia Rising. And, oh yeah, he Robert can't wait for the book because look at his avatar.
I've actually got Avatar Envy. That's a rather good one.
That is a good one. Yeah. Do you want to explain, Ken, why that is why he's mentioning that?
So it's quite an interesting thing, actually, because obviously it's a symbol that's sometimes referred to as Hecate's wheel, and it's become quite synonymous with Hecate in a modern context. But actually, the connection to her in antiquity is kind of not really there. The origins of this design first sort of appear just on little sort of gold, bronze, like medallion buttons that were found in Mycenae. But there's no real, they were just decorative sort of clothing, accoutrement type things. And I've still never figured out where the moment in time was, obviously in a modern context, where the association with Hecate sort of came about. You know, people have looked at it and said, you know, it's labyrinthine, it's serpentine. You know, there's the 3 spokes, so it's the crossroads and the 3 realms, and you know, various things like that, which you can, you know, symbols you can see different things in dependent on who is doing the assessment. But there's no getting away from the fact that it's now become a synonymous and instantly recognizable symbol to associate with the goddess Hecate.
Yes, or Hecate, depending upon
Hecate, or
depending upon how you're pronouncing it. We had some fun with that. Arlene is here. Hello, Arlene.
Hi, Arlene.
Did you want to share something, Chris?
Yeah, because we featured it twice, didn't we, love, in the deck? Because I mean, this was the first rendition that we did, which is card 41, which is actually the Hecate's wheel card. But the back design, obviously, Gerald, that you were just showing, it's also on. We were thrilled because Lo Scarabeo chose to put this on the front of the box as well, because this was based on Ken, your tattoo design, wasn't it? So it's I love the fact that it kind of features twice in the deck, once as a card in its own right, but 2 on the backs of the cards also with the incantations and and of course the phases of the moon as well, isn't it? Behind the
so, on the tattoo one, I kind of I sort of used the symbol as an idea, but then obviously it's made out of a red snake. There's the moon phases and the Voces Magicae around the outside, whereas the card version is just this sort of whirring generative sort of cycle wheel that we kind of created.
I'm dead proud of that card because that was the first card completed, wasn't it?
Yeah. We never changed.
No, we didn't change anything on it. That was the deal breaker, because Ken and I had our initial conversations, and then I basically went away to create a card, to just mess around with the concepts, and that was the one I went with. And I think I sent it to you the day after, didn't I? And it was so it was a first draft. I was expecting to have to change it, and it's there in the final deck.
I would be very curious if the two of you were to track back the dates that you first talked and what the numerology is of those dates.
Oh, now wouldn't that be interesting?
I would be very, very curious about that, because I have a feeling this has been this is a blessed channeled piece.
Right, you got me thinking now, because talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to go back through my messenger history and see if I can actually.
You'll be there forever.
I know.
So Arlene is here. I think I may have said hello to Harley, and Hypnicity has joined us. Thank you. And yes, I am a trickster. Yes, I am a trickster. Period. So I'm Ramon Moon Scarab is here, and Lynn is missing Ritchie, as are we.
We're missing Ritchie.
And by the way, Chris, I want you to see this. Ramon, this is one of my idols.
That's actually really lovely. Thank you.
Oh yeah. Well, Ramon, the last time he was like going, "You're Chris from the Healing Light Tarot." It's like he was like, his mind was blown.
It's a bit of a fun. Things like that make you feel a bit of a fraud, because I'm just one of those lucky people that actually gets to do exactly what I want to do for a living.
Yes.
But it's kind of lovely when you realize how much people appreciate it. So yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
People loved the trailer. So,
that's good.
And Kaylee is work lurking. So.
I think the idea of me scrolling back through Messenger to find out when Ken and I first connected, I'm kind of giving up, because I've just realized I'm scrolling back. It's now overloading, basically because we talk too much. And I've only got as far back as the 11th of February this year. So I will come back to everyone on that one. I will research.
It's going to require a bit of a deep dive on that one, I think.
It will. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you send me? We weren't Facebook friends at that stage, or had you just sent me a Facebook friends request?
No, I think I actually just messaged you out of the blue before we did anything. I messaged you the intention that nothing else would come of it, and here we are.
And here we are. What, 2 years later?
4 years later.
4 years.
Oh,
yeah.
Right.
Because we finished the deck, and then we'd started. Oh, Ritchie's work. Bless him.
Beautiful to see you, Ritchie. Thank you.
No, we finished the deck, and then COVID hit. So it was But it's like we said last time, isn't it? I mean, we worked brilliantly together, but it was kind of fueled along by excessive consumption of chocolate pizza and wine. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And coffee in the daytime.
Yeah,
of course. So the two of you have created this amazing deck. Yes, I am using that word. And again, purchase responsibly, know your limits. This soon to be enlarged white little book comes with it, the little guide. No pressure, Ken. But we're looking forward to that. And so I thought what we would do is I wanted to remind people how the deck operates. So the images is we have a number here which corresponds to the information in the guidebook, and these are the what you used an epithet.
epithets.
Yes, epithets. And then we have a keyword down here at the bottom. So, and do you need the guidebook? No. Do you need a large guidebook? Abso-freaking-lutely. So we'll get that. That's the last time I'm going to tease you about that, Ken. Not really. So, an engorged little white book. Yes, that is what Ken is working on. Ken is engorging the little white book to make it even larger. So anyhow. So and elemental cartomancy. Oh, I like chocolate pizza and wine.
I've just told him that we must collaborate as well. Anyone who likes chocolate pizza and wine is going to work brilliantly with me.
There you go. There you go.
Oh, and Carry On films.
Oh yes,
I love a Carry On film.
Yeah.
It was Ben who told me about Carry On films, and I binged watched them. It's bizarre.
Didn't we do? Because the day we finished, and we kind of finished. I think you'd come to stay for about 5 days, hadn't you?
Yeah.
And we thought, oh, we kind of got on a roll, and we'd sort of expecting to be finishing just about on the Friday, and we finished on the Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
And I seem to remember that we got very wind up and then did a Carry On binge watch, which it kind of sort of culminated in Carry On Up the Khyber, didn't it? I think.
Yeah, I think didn't we do Camping Behind and Khyber?
Camping Behind and Khyber, and then we finished it off with an episode of like Star Trek Discovery.
Oh my gosh!
I should do.
You're not geeks, are you?
Oh, absolutely not. No.
Yeah. So, here's the back of the deck. My only thing that I don't like about the deck is it's shinier than what I want, because when I hold it up here, you get the reflection. I would adore it in a linen. However, I'm not at the table. So, and Ritchie says, "Oh, matron."
Ritchie, love, I've got some answers to that, but I'll save them for when we're doing a private video call.
There you go. So, let's talk about some of the cards that we like, because I would really like to use the rest of the time showing cards that we like. And what card do you want to share, Ken? I'm putting you on, and then I'm going to do Chris.
Okay.
So I'll go with card number 50 to start, which is the Dionysus card.
There we go.
Now, Dionysus, for those that don't know, there's the sort of Greek god of wine, madness, revelry, ecstasy, liberation, and things like that. This was a card that I definitely wanted in the deck, and we did do some alterations to this, because originally it was a card that we utilized a silhouette for.
Right.
But with a lot of the other cards that portray deities, we'd utilize statues, and I felt we were kind of doing a disservice to Dionysus by only having him in a sort of abstract silhouette. But the connection between sort of Hecate and Dionysus tends to be.
Sorry, I'm laughing. It's just the comment that was just up on the screen. Dionysus, Greek god of chocolate, pizza, and wine.
Yeah, pretty much. The connection's not really sort of elaborated on much in antiquity, though there are references and parallels that you can draw. But I do, me personally, I see them in quite similar sort of spheres. They're both liminal deities. They both exist between realms. Dionysus, although he was born sort of half mortal, half god, and initially had his sort of worldly travels, he traveled to the underworld to rescue his mother before being ascended into the upper world. So he's, he has that three realm access, which, very few gods have multiple access. It's it's one or the other generally. And again, this sort of liberation, this freedom, this stepping outside of oneself, which is what the root of the word ecstasy means. Ecstasis means to stand outside of oneself, and so that in itself is a very liminal thing, which side by side with Hecate, it's kind of to me it makes sense. And in my own personal experience, I've experienced both Hecate and Dionysus firsthand. Not the deific tag team you want necessarily to mess you about, but it's all for the greater good, generally speaking.
It's the one. It may not be what you want, but it is the one you need.
Oh yes, definitely.
Yes. So, Chris, before you go, I'm going to catch up and chat a little bit. And Elemental Cartomancy said, "Would love that, Chris. I know I need to message you back, actually, so I'll make a point of doing that."
Fabulous. Drop me a message.
Do you need to take a screenshot of this?
Absolutely. Yeah. Hang on.
So,
I've just taken one.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, Chris. Do feel free to message me.
And by Jen Bowles and Nancy, a Paper Moon, lovely to see you, has said, if there's a religion that worships a god of wine, I'm here for it.
And Carry On Films.
Yeah, and Carry On Films. Beth has asked a question. Have any of you paired this deck with any tarot decks? I feel as though it would really strengthen many I can think of. Yeah. What a lovely question.
Well, I can answer that for me straight away, because if I've been reading with my own Healing Light Tarot, I pair this with that. But also for me, strangely enough, I found that this works brilliantly with my original Rider-Waite Tarot. And I don't know why that particular permutation of the Waite-Smith.
You mean this deck? The Healing
That
Light?
one? Yeah.
Yep.
So I do. It's funny because if I've read for friends, I've very often ended up sort of supplementing the, if I've used the Healing Light, I've supplemented the tarot readings with the Hecate deck. But also for some strange reason, for my own personal readings, I've been using it a lot with the original Rider-Waite, and that combination just really worked for me. So yeah,
very nice. What about you, Ken? Have you paired this with?
Yeah, I mean, similarly to Chris, I've utilized it alongside the Healing Light Tarot. And again, I personally, in my devotions, I use the mages of the Rider-Waite in relation to a chapter in the Temple of Hecate by Tara Sanchez, where she attributes a different aspect of Hecate to each of the major arcana. So what I do every full moon is I draw one of the majors to get sort of like a direct message as to what to do for the next month, and then I'll draw some out of our deck to explain how exactly and to go into more detail. I mean, I've even used our deck with runes. I've gone that far, and they work perfectly.
I could see that. Yeah. Donna has said it looks like it would pair well with the Circe tarot.
Yes.
Yeah, I've not got that one actually. I've seen it, and yeah, I don't see why that wouldn't work. I mean, we've got Circe Kirke in the deck, so I think that would work perfectly.
That's something I've not sort of thought of, because I mean, I love the Mythic Tarot, and I haven't actually paired it alongside the Mythic Tarot yet. That would work beautifully too.
Yeah. And Beth has said, interesting. I could also see it with Journey of the Sacred Bee. Which is I can see that, and the Cosmic Seed, which Beth has been texting me trying to get me to purchase this deck. It's on sale now on Etsy so it's anyhow and Ramon just ordered the deck. It'll go perfect with the Healing Light. And Chris, Elemental Cartomancy, says, I have a few decks that are based on Greek mythology, so I'll probably use it with one of them.
Maybe the Orphic Tarot.
Orphic, yeah.
Interesting.
And Beth said I could see it with the Persephone's Garden Tarot.
Oh, I don't know that one.
don't know that one.
I will be honest with you. I've not used this for readings yet because we've been doing this. My intuition tells me only get this deck out if you want the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and to be held accountable for it.
Yep.
And
I got a big shock with this because, I mean, obviously anyone who knows my story, I'm not coming from a background of Hecate worship. I'm not the traditional devotee. So creating this deck was a big learning journey for me. I learned huge amounts from Kenn.
Yes.
And I said to you, Gerald, before came on here, didn't we, that I sort of was really proud of this deck from what we'd achieved visually, but I didn't expect that it was going to work for me as a reading deck. And then, of course, I learned otherwise. And that was the big shock, because I found that I can read with it really well. But like you say, I don't read with this unless I want a slap in the teeth, because it's about as brutally blunt as it gets. But then that's the joy of this goddess, I think.
Well, and I want to. I have my own relationship with this goddess, and so it would be a slap in the face, or slap in the teeth, followed by a very tight hug that is healing for me.
Yeah, that sounds right, actually.
That's my relationship.
Nancy, I find this deck slaps me in the teeth, but in a positive way.
Yes,
which is why I've really come to appreciate it.
Yeah,
and again,
there is a huge catharsis in the reading of the cards, even if it's something that seems quite scary or daunting or dark. Those inverted commas. There is a catharsis behind it. There is a healing process.
Yeah. Nancy, a Paper Moon, said, "I'd love to use it with the soul cards." I could see that. Chris, Elemental Cardomancy, I wonder about that. So
I just noticed here, because there's a comment from Aspasia Rising, Gerald, if you can put it up on the screen. It's quite an interesting one. There we go.
I'm not an artist, but I just assumed if you create a deck, you would connect with it and read on a really fundamental level.
The interesting answer to that question is not always. Sometimes you can just be too close to it. It's funny because I've been really lucky in some of the projects that I've got to do. But a prize example of this is my collaboration with Kay Stopforth on the Quantum Tarot. I am so proud of that deck. I love the images. I just don't read with it very often.
Yeah.
And that was the big disappointment, because so much went into creating that deck. And I can remember when Kay and I had finished the first draft, we printed out a couple of test copies on the inkjet printer, hand cut them, laminated them. And to my horror, I kind of drew a blank on it with reading. And I do read with the Quantum Tarot from time to time, but I don't know what it is about that deck. Again, I think I'm just too close to the creative process. With this one, because it was so far out of my own spiritual tradition, I didn't expect to be able to read with it, even though I'm immensely proud of the images and I love them. But I found I could. So again, the answer to that is sometimes, but not always, and for a number of different reasons.
I love that. Elspeth said, for some reason, I think it might work with the Tarot of the Abyss. I haven't tried it yet.
That's an interesting deck. A friend of mine, that's her favorite deck. And I haven't thought of that.
Yeah. And by the way, Elemental Cardomancy, Donna Riedler, could you maybe make a video showing how it looks with each of those decks? So there you go. You have content, Chris. So, Chris, what would you do? You have a deck or a card that you'd like to share?
Yeah, one that I've briefly mentioned already, and I'm going to go with number 23, Pandatira. Now, I'm going with this just purely and simply from the creator's point of view. This was the last card that we created, and I have a great fondness for this purely and simply because there was an absolute feeling of elation when we realized, looking at the screen, that we'd completed the image. And it's weird, as you're putting a deck together, you're kind of ticking the cards off, but then it's a kind of strange feeling when you get down to that point where you say only got 2 or 3 left to do, and you've got the bulk of the deck there, but then those last few images have yet to take life, and it's difficult to kind of visualize what they're going to look like. And with this one, again, because it's not like working on a tarot where, you know, say with the Healing Light Tower, the last card was the 5 of Pentacles. So I've got a good idea what a 5 of Pentacles is going to look like. I was reliant on Kenn explaining to me the concepts behind this and talking me through, and then talking through, you know, what he was looking for. And apart from the learning process of this aspect of the goddess, this is just one of my happiest cards, because I can remember just thinking, oh, job done, but also knowing that we kind of created something quite special. And I visually, I love this card. I love the fruitfulness of it. But I love this statue you selected, because she's just got such a serene, you know, expression on her face. And
I think it's obviously it's not. I don't think it is necessarily a statue of Hecate from antiquity, but I think it's one of those ones that's come from sort of like an Eleusinian background. It's Demeter or Persephone, you know, because they were also shown to hold torches. But it kind of illustrated this abundance, you know, this offering of things. And actually, thinking back on it now, I kind of think it's quite pertinent that this was the last card.
It kind of felt like a blessing.
We sealed it with abundance.
Yeah,
so I've only really just figured that one out. But yeah, it's weird.
As she took shape on the screen, it was kind of that symbolism. It just kind of felt as if she was giving back for all our hard work. You know, and I still have a sort of tingly feeling when I look at this image. And this will always be the completion card for me, even though it's number 23, because we did work quite considerably out of sequence, didn't we? We kind of went where the muse took us, and, you know, and it just so happened that this was the card that was the end of the road. And I still love it for that reason. I really do.
Yeah, Harley is Chris. That is an amazing. Chris is an amazing artist, and actually amazing artist. Love his work.
Thank you.
This just in. Well, shit. Now I have to buy 2 decks. You don't have to buy any. And Beth said that abundance card really is like the Queen of Pentacles in the Sacred Bee. That can make for some powerful intention setting. Yes. So, I mean, you know, again, know your limits, purchase responsibly.
Absolutely.
So, okay. So it's my turn.
Go for it.
I'm, you know, because it's my show, and I'm gonna do.
I'm just curious to see what you're going to pick.
Well, I'm going to pick 29, 30, 31, and 32. I'm going to pick the new moon. The full moon. The dark moon.
Yeah. And the deep moon.
The deep moon. Or the deep moon.
It's funny actually, because the deep moon card is another one that I'd picked out.
Oh right, okay.
Oh, okay. So why did you pick them?
I picked it because I have fond memories of its creation, of me not losing my temper with Chris, but just trying to get him to just do what I said, because I knew it was going to work.
Because all I was doing was sitting there saying, "It's not working. It's not going to work."
Yes, because it was a composite image. So literally every element of that was just a plonk bit of a you know a Creative Commons or copyright free image.
I've got to be honest. I was a real miserable negative bitch that day.
You were on that one, yes. And I knew what I just wanted it to be simple, and I knew it just needed to be a literal interpretation of this traditional offering of Hecate's Deepnon, or the supper, of some of the things that were most commonly associated and offered, such as the garlic and the egg, you know, honeycomb bread. just this simple, rustic sort of thing that happened in antiquity, but also that we still, those of us that are devotees, still do today.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I just, every time I look at this card, I can just see his grumpy face, or rather his grumpy face, going, it's not working, it's not working. Bloody well, just do it.
I have to just say, for Chris to actually finally, to actually say, okay, I'll just do it.
Well, it was funny because I really had to, this boy had done his homework, and totally 150%. And that was the card that kind of just taught me, look, just like, don't just argue the toss, just shut the F up.
Because,
totally, just do what he says because he knows what he's talking about, And
I don't know about you, but anytime I've been stupid enough to argue with her, I lose. I end up being better on the other side of it and learning a few things and then licking my wounds, but there you go. So, yeah.
And I think that's what happened with Chris, because obviously once he did it, and then we started to put the textures and the layers over the top and tweak the light in, and then all of a sudden you were like, oh yeah, it does work.
It's like, oh, now I get it.
Yeah.
And I think the difficulty was you kind of get into habits as a Photoshop artist, and when Ken outlined that, I thought, that's too simple, and actually from the perspective of all these disparate objects, we're not going to make them look convincing. But he knew exactly what he was talking about, and then it got to about 2/3 of the way through, and I thought, oh, now I get what he wants to do. And we but again, it was kind of one of those lessons where sometimes as the artist, you just have to get out of the way and let the writer and the creator dictate what you're doing, which I'm a bit stubborn at, because I'm so used to actually illustrating to my own concepts.
Wait a minute. You're stubborn?
I'll tell you.
Huh.
Yeah.
Jules Learning to Listen said, gorgeous deck from an old Diane here. Wonderful to have a Hecate deck created by men. So yeah.
It's weird because I didn't really think of it like that. I just kind of thought, well, I kind of thought, well, if the goddess is going to do this, she'll just channel it. And I feel that's what she did.
Yes.
And
I am a big fan of the moon. I pay attention to the phases of the moon. So these, the new moon, the full moon, talk about that, where we have illumination. We have the dark moon. Love that, release. And then there's this idea of this is thinking of making those offerings during each of those, because this is one of the things that we paid attention to. We paid attention to back in the day, and now, because I think they're beautiful. They just work well for me. So that's why I am a huge fan of those. So I can mark those off of my list now. So, Ken, would you like to share another deck? And Barbara also loves the cards with the moon on it. And Chris, Elemental Cartomancy, said the full moon card is absolutely stunning.
And that was another early one that didn't really get much tweaking.
No, it's
the full moon. The only stipulation I had to it was make the moon brighter.
Yeah, and I don't remember us really. We changed the torches. Do you remember? I'd sort of put torches, and then, but it was actually before we'd finished the image. We kind of looked and we thought those torches aren't working, and then we changed those out. But once it was done, you think you're right. We just brightened the moon a little bit, didn't we? Before we submitted the images to the publisher.
Yeah,
nothing else changed. Yeah.
Tom, Early Ritual is here. Hello, good to see you. Maze M said, I am so grateful for this deck. I love it. I mean, and Ken, Maze is grateful for this deck.
I'm grateful that she bought the deck. But I'm grateful in a humble way, because this is, although this is obviously it's in the mainstream and people are buying it. For me, this has always been, as it says in the dedication, an offering to both the goddess and to the community from me.
Yes.
In a roundabout way.
Yeah. And Mayzem said, hello all. I was trying to lurk, but just had to say something. Boom. Thank you for saying something. That is beautiful. Okay, Ken, you get to pick a card that you want to
So
talk about.
the next one is card 52, the Kerberos card.
Oh, I was going to pick that, but it'd be interesting to see why you picked it.
So
right there, because I put a deck in.
The card, the keyword is for obstacles. Now, obviously, Kerberos is the three-headed guardian of the underworld, the three-headed dog, hellhound, whatever, however you want to interpret him. And with this one, I wanted him to be featured in the deck, because although there is no real like specified connection, apart from, I think there's one vase painting where it depicts when Hercules pulled him out of the underworld and Hecate is kind of stood off to the side, and then you've got the myth that Aconite, Wolfsbane, came out of that situation where his spittle hit the ground. Aconite bloomed up, and obviously we know that Wolfsbane was, as well as other poisonous plants, has a quite a close link with Hecate, and as well as she has dominion in the underworld as well. But then I didn't really know necessarily how we were going to do it, because the one thing I really, really, really didn't want to do was end up with like a Harry Potter fluffy style, three-headed dog type thing. I really wanted to come away from that. And there's things on the internet where people joke that it's never actually specified what type of dog Kerberos is. So you do get people that jokingly make little mashups of little dachshunds with three heads and things like that. So I didn't necessarily want to go down that route. And then we found an actual I think it wasn't it part of a fireplace or something?
It was a carved relief, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it somewhere in Germany, possibly, or somewhere like that. Yeah. And it literally was this carving of Kerberos, and I really just thought, actually, do you know what? That really is like just perfect as it is. Obviously, just cut around the edges of it, but then obviously to make it different and to sort of encapsulate it in this context of it being guarding the underworld, we've kind of got this gaping chasm with the fires behind it, and then Kerberos literally in chains and held fast to block the way forward or the way out, or whichever way you want to look at it. And obviously a card of obstacles can sometimes seem quite negative or quite sort of depressing if it comes up in a reading, but then it's more to do with obviously how you're going to tackle those obstacles, or considering why the obstacle is there in the first place. Sometimes the obstacles are put in your way for a good reason, and as we mentioned before, Hecate doesn't do anything by halves, and she generally does things that need to happen. And sometimes she needs to stop you from going off into the gaping maw of the three-headed hellhound, so she has to put a block in the way. But I just really loved how it came together in the end, because we really did sort of channel this hellish sort of dog that, I think it was the eyes. Once we set those lens flares in those eyes, we were like, oh yes, you don't want to mess with
But, I mean, the actual carved relief was quite imposing, wasn't it? Yeah. So we sort of digitally cut it out, and then we sort of put it onto the background of, the sort of fiery cave and what have you. But then I really played around with the colours to make them look quite electric. But it kind of wasn't working, was it? And then all of a sudden, I think it was Ken suggested, let's flip it into negative. which we did. And then we started playing around, putting these lens flares onto the eyes. And of course, at one point, I just looked at him and I said, God, that's wicked, isn't it? Because it really is, it just, sometimes you can just make the slightest tweak to an image and then all of a sudden it falls into place. And it wasn't looking cuddly, but it wasn't looking ferocious enough, was it? And then all of a sudden it's like, we made its eyes glow and it was like, oh yeah, okay.
And the Beth has said,
I love it. Again, it's one of those raw cards that for me really, definitely. Yeah, it really sums up what the deck's about for me, because there's nothing diluted or sanitized about this deck. And I mean, if I came face to face with that apparition, I would run a mile. But then,
you just hit the nail on the head there, because if you actually look at Greek mythology, it's not sanitized and it's not nice and it's not fluffy. It's about human life, even though it's portrayed in the the theater of the gods. They are a very human pantheon. They fight with each other, they have affairs, they do all of the things that we are capable or guilty of doing ourselves. And so again, it's a relatable thing, I think. And I think that to have that sort of essence in the deck is quite pertinent, because I think that's why it's working for people, is because they are instantly able to connect with the things that the cards are sort of saying that's happening in their lives.
Yep. And
that's up there with the graveyard zombies for me. Which was another highlight.
And by the way, Elemental Cartomancy said, my dogs have come here to sit beside me to listen to you talk about, I'm going to mispronounce that, Kerberos. Okay.
I mean, I've spelled all of the words that have K's because ancient Greek didn't have soft C's technically.
I mean, look at that.
What they like.
Oh,
how cute is that? Thank you, Chris.
There's not much room on the sofa though. They're massive, them dogs.
Yeah,
they're even more invasive than your cats, love.
Yes, which actually are behaving themselves for a
change. They're behaving tonight, aren't we?
Yeah.
All right, Chris, do you have a card that you would like to share?
Yeah, and again, this was just another highlight of the creation process for me. I love this one. This is number 20, Philaramos, the Lover of Solitude. And this is completely the opposite. I mean, we've got the dog again, that familiar black hound figure with the goddess, but this is another one of my feel-good cards from the deck, because if I would want to step into any of the landscapes in this deck, this is the one, because there's just something so beautiful about this for me, and something so beautiful about this aspect of the goddess, that aspect of retreat. There's a real sense of solitude in here, but not aloneness, and solitude for all the right reasons, which I love. And I could kind of, I've used this for a couple of meditation and path working exercises, particularly when if I'm in a situation where I'm wound up and I need to get away into myself to calm down, this is an image I've used to focus on. And again, it's an aspect of the goddess I knew nothing about when we created this, but it's deceptive. It looked like a simple image to create, but we kind of jumped through quite a few hoops, didn't we, before we got the atmosphere that you were looking for on this?
Yeah, because I think initially we just went with a figure and we didn't have the dog initially. And it just felt that it was missing something, because it could have just been anybody stood there. And although we use the silhouette in which you use in your artistic style as a way of projecting either ourselves or the god, in this context the goddess, into a specific image, without the dog, it felt very two-dimensional. There was something, it was an element that was lacking. And then I think once we put it in, and we kind of once you started messing with the sort of the haziness of it, and I think I've mentioned this before in a few other videos that we've done, is it becomes that you can almost hear the silence. It's really a really strange concept, but like you say, you look on that card and everything just goes quiet, and you can, it's all.
I love what we created, but also as well because it wasn't a straightforward image to create, and it's not quite what it seems, because the background itself was a daylight desert scene, wasn't it? But then I put a lot of very heavy color overlays on it, and to get that kind of ethereal effect, I've ghosted over it an image of waves breaking on the shore, and then this kind of misty effect. I have a stock library of cloud and mist effects that I can superimpose in any color on top of the the image, and I sort of put them between layers and over the top of the image to give it depth. And we just kind of did a lot of playing around to get this, but then all of a sudden there just came a moment where it clicked, and we thought, oh yeah, that's it. But again, it's the figures. To me, what I love, it's almost like, it's the goddess and the black hound, but then to me, it's also the goddess and a familiar. And then also I just get the sense that the two of them are one, and it's kind of, that's very subjective on my part, but it's just, I see so much in this, and I love the fact it's a place I want to go to.
Yes.
From the minute we created this image, I thought, yeah, I would want to walk in that liminal space.
Yeah,
I'd love to walk in that half light. That's kind of the sort of space that I would want to retreat into, to commune with my divinities. So this is for that reason, this is a very special card for me. And it's one that I do meditate on quite a lot.
Yeah, and a lot of people are agreeing with you, Chris. So you're not alone with that. So
fabulous.
And I made a note, Ken, to in the big book, if you could put pronunciation keys in, that would be very helpful.
Yeah,
I would appreciate that. So
yeah, I have a few Greek speakers that I pester every now and again when I want clarification.
Yes. I'd just like to say, in terms of pronunciation keys, I'm just wishing you the best of luck with card number 1.
Oh, well, card number 1's easy. It's card 25.
25. Which was the one? Because there was one that we kind of, I never. Oh yeah, that's the one.
This one.
Oh no, well no, it must be 24 or 26 then.
Oh, this one. That's
one, 26. Yeah, that's the one that I stumble over that one.
Tell you what, should we do some pronunciation lessons on YouTube? Now that would make a full series of videos, wouldn't it?
You could do that, and you could put in a QR code for people to go and find out how to pronounce it on your YouTube channel. Okay.
I've seen worse. I've actually discovered that there is a Teach Yourself Klingon course on YouTube, which I'd love to embark on. So I'm sure we can do correct pronunciation for the Greek,
Yeah, that's kind of similar sort of how you would pronounce it.
Okay.
When you're looking at something and you're thinking, yeah, I'm convinced that's the right pronunciation, I just can't pronounce it anyway. So I won't even try.
I'm going to share this one before I do my last several. Because Nancy, a Crohn's Intuition, said, I like incubation, card number 38.
Oh, I like this one.
Yeah. And actually, I have this one marked because, and I've checked in. I'm allowed to share this. I have been to that cave.
Oh, now tell me where the cave was, darling.
Well, I'm not at liberty to discuss that with you, but I was given permission by Hecate to say, yes, you have been to that cave.
Ooh. Can I let you into a secret with this card?
Is it going to ruin things for me and keep me up late at night?
Yeah, it's 3 different caves.
That makes sense. Yes, it was. Yeah. We'll just say I was in Ritual and I visited this cave. And Ken I'm watching Ken, and he's sort of registering everything I'm saying and what I'm not saying. So yeah, that is extremely powerful for me. I was like, and I was looking at that, and I think Jeffrey was at home, and I'm like, holy. I mean, I'm not going. It's like they took a snapshot of what I was doing, and I was
Wow.
actually looking in my book of shadows, and I'm like, holy.
God, that's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you the story behind this one, because we had to sort of go for some quite unusual source material to make this work, because we'd looked at all sorts of images to use as a starting point, haven't we? And nothing was kind of working. And then, because I think what the photo you already had the photo of this one, didn't you, with all of the sort of pink and red crystals?
I think so, because I think initially we sort of we kind of went with a literal interpretation. So like the top bit with the stalactites and stalagmites, we kind of just had that, and we had it in very earthy tones, but it just didn't
work.
It didn't pop. So there was, it was just like, this is very flat. What are we missing? And I think it was this sense of, entering the cave and the unseen bit of it expanding, obviously outward into the earth. And it's not even a cave entrance that we picked.
Because it's a funny one, because we tried a couple of different things, and then I went off on a whim. And it was years ago. I'd worked in a high-end gallery framing center, and one of the original prints of this cave photo came in, and it's not what you think, and it always stuck in my mind. And then subsequently, the same photo was licensed for a CD cover, something that I have. I'm a big fan of Vaughan Williams's music, and thank you for the
thank you,
Ulysses. Yeah, but this image subsequently turned up on a CD sleeve, and I'm a big Vaughan Williams fan, and it was a recording of the Symphonia Antarctica. And what it actually is, it's one of the ice caves that the first Antarctic exhibition photographed. And the original photo shows Scott's ship, doesn't it? I think
it's outside from that angle. Because isn't there like a little person stood in, like literally in the thing?
Yeah. And I showed it to Ken, and he kind of said, "Well, nothing ventured," and we cut it out, and we started superimposing it with the other cave photograph plus the cave floor photograph, and then all of a sudden, juggling with the colors, and then it just worked, and there was our cave. But again, it's interesting, Gerald, that you picked this one out, and that actually you've been there in Pathworking Journeys. That encourages me that we kind of got it right, and it was almost as if the goddess was kind of trying to give us a vision of what she wanted.
Chris, look at my eyes. Make eye contact with me, young man.
I am doing.
This is definitely channeled, and thank you for being open and following what Ken wrote, because Ken was right.
I followed what he said when he'd slapped me in the teeth a couple of times.
Well, Nancy said the opening of the cave looks like a breaching whale to me. Incubation.
Actually, it does.
And by the way, Claudia is here, and
hi, Claudia.
Michelle Marie, hello. So, okay, we're gonna have this be our last round. So make this count, gentlemen. I'm going to go first. Go on. And Beth said, Chris, it reminds me of the caves in Malta.
Which I've not seen. It's interesting. It's funny because if you see the original photos, they look so different. But then, that's not the point, is it? I suppose.
No,
that's just our starting point.
Again, because it's my show. Because I'm hosting, it's not my show. I am taking card number 58, 59, and 60. Because this, I'm getting emotional as I say this. This does a beautiful job of giving us an understanding how there are different aspects yet they are all the same. And
Mm.
if you can understand and appreciate all of those aspects as one, yet different, there is a powerful, powerful understanding. And it's part of it's part of the beauty and the complexity. So um so yeah, I love the image. I think it was extremely smart to let's go, okay, here's the base. And then we interpret that and we weave it through. So
And actually, we actually did change this because the initial idea just wasn't working. It was
Mm.
becoming too cluttered, and we were trying to do too many things with not very much space. I think didn't we use we had the human figures from the
From,
um
from the Voyager Pro plaque,
yeah,
uh,
and it
yeah,
just there was
it
just
wasn't
something not
working.
working with it.
It wasn't
And
working.
obviously, you know, there is an element of personal gnosis in these three cards because I've come to associate these different serpent sort of daemons, emissaries in these particular colours through my work and through my devotion and my experiences
Mm.
right back from the from the first time when I was lucky enough to go to meet Sarita de Este for the first time
Yeah.
in her then home at the sort of borders between sort of at the base of the Brecon Beacons, and we did we did ritual, and at the time she had like it was a shed, but it was just utilized as a sort of outdoor temple, and we all I think there was 7 or 8 of us. We all squeezed into this little little shed, shut the doors, incense going, and one of the other attendants was drumming, and we were doing this serpent breath meditation, and literally like there were just snakes everywhere, and but not like in that, oh my god, there's snakes, and it was very, very powerful. I came away from it with a particular snake,
mhm,
and then over the years I kind of started to realize that there wasn't just one snake, there was more snakes, and
mhm,
these different layers between the different realms and the different purposes that they could have.
yeah. And so Free Spirit says these are their favorite card, as well as Tom Early Ritual.
Yeah.
So there you
Which is
go.
good because I was a little bit sort of unsure whether they would be accessible for others, but I know through talking with other people that there are similar experiences with sort of snakes as sort of spirit emissaries in relation to the goddess.
Yeah. Well, and for me, the fact that you had tried to put figures in and you've removed them, it shifts
Yeah.
it. It allows me to be looking at this and to
Mm.
be part of it. So if I were to,
Mm.
if this were floating in front of me, or if my feet were here, it's a different experience. So I appreciate when I am able to participate in a card. And so this is the shift is really powerful for me. So
Mm.
anyhow, so I love these 3 cards. So all right, Ken, what do you have to share? And by the way, everyone, thank you for watching. All of the links to everyone's channels are below. Links if you would like to purchase responsibly, to know your limits, because we are here to share, not to sell. There are also links to Chris's channel,
Mhm.
where on Sacred Tarot, these 2 amazing people are sharing information about the cards as well as the creation of the deck.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and that's one of those things. Go to the playlist, press play, and listen whilst you're doing some other things. So, but okay, that's my. Oh, here you go. And Jotism, the symbol of the snake, is connected to the nodes, which cause eclipse energy. It reminds
Mm.
me of the shadow work we come here to do. And
Mm.
my apologies for mispronouncing the second word. So, And Donna said, made me think of the rod of
Asclepius.
Thank you. Because again, please, pronunciation. All right, so you're up, Ken. What do you have for us?
So I've got several possibles, but I'm going to go with this one. Card 34, which is the Pharmakeia card.
Yeah.
Which is knowledge. And this was a later addition to the concept of the deck, because we'd already had the Aconite card.
Yeah.
But then I didn't want to sort of fall down the rabbit hole of having a card for every, major plant that was associated with Hecate, because then it ran the danger of trying to be two decks, a herbal deck and a general goddess deck.
Well, let me pause you right there. That would be okay. It would need to come with a guidebook.
When I kind of came up with the idea of trying to what I would do with all these other plants, so things like garlic and dandelion and mandrake and belladonna, and the ones that are often referenced in antiquity or witchcraft related topics, I kind of I wanted to see if I could encapsulate them all in a single card and a single image. And again, it was one of those ones where I was kind of trying to get grumpy face over there to listen to what I was trying to explain to him, because as you quite rightly mentioned a couple of times now, Gerald, is whilst we were sitting together and trying to create this thing, I've got the goddess in my ear, going, that needs to do this and we don't want that, and no, that's not going to work, and tell him it's got to be like this. And I'm just like, I'm not the most necessarily forthcoming person when it comes to things, but with this, I was kind of, no, we need to do it this way. And I think initially we had all the separate herbs. We had basically botanical style images of the different ones. But again, it looked a bit like some Victorian twee press flower album. It was horrible. And then I kind of got this idea to kind of mess with it to the point where it was not necessarily discernible exactly, unless you were starting to scrutinize it more. And I took this idea from in sort of illuminated manuscripts as a concept of a palimpsest, which is basically there's writing over writing in different directions, and it becomes quite a mishmash, but it's usually because it hides knowledge or hides secrets. And I think once we sort of decided to go with that sort of very traditional folkloric image of a mandrake, human figure, and then have these sort of nondescript, sort of Latinized sort of words and images of some of the other herbs and things, and then just literally layer it up with earthy green sort of herbal tones, and then all of a sudden it was like, yep, that's fine, we're done now, we can move on.
It just came to life. I think one of the difficulties as well was we'd done the Aconite card where we had gone back to sort of Victorian botanical manuscripts to use as source material, and we'd sort of layered those in a similar way, but it just worked straight away, didn't it? Whereas with this one, it was just that little bit more elusive. But I think apart from the fact that there's me sitting there saying it's not working, it's never going to be anything like that, but then once it was funny. I can't remember what we did. We'd sort of dropped in the actual visible manuscript part, hadn't we? And then somehow the balance just came right, and it just worked.
I think it was literally just a case of like when you go to the opticians, is it better with or without? It was a bit of that. We were just putting all these filters on, and we go, no, not that one, next.
And I love with that card that actually, on first glance, it could be just a really old, very discolored manuscript page, but then when you look, you start to see the depth, and your eyes start to sink into it, and the layers of different plants, and it's one of the more interesting images.
So the lesson here, Chris, is when Kenn is talking, just do what he says and stop arguing.
I know. I am stubborn.
And okay, so I'll say that again so Kenn can actually, put it as a short. Chris, the lesson here is to just do what Kenn says.
Thank you, darling.
Because
I'll get that on a t-shirt for next time.
Gerald, next time we do all these, just actually have a little card saying #do as Kenn says.
Well, yes, exactly. I love this card, and I do love the idea of, this is about knowledge. Love the, what did you call it? The writing in multiple layers.
A palimpsest.
I love that because for me, that's what she would be doing.
Yeah.
She would be layering and layering and layering, and then it's for the student to work hard to find it.
And I think that that is definitely, especially when you look when we're taking things like poisonous plants into into the context, it's become a little bit trendy now to be I work with poisons and things like that, but there is none of this knowledge. Knowledge and wisdom, it's the application, it's the application of it, but you've got to learn it first. You can't just go, I know all about it, and then you end up dead or poisoned or something.
But that's part of the having the wisdom and the knowledge to poisons are actually very healing in the appropriate percentage or whatever. So, but here you go. Beth says, I want a bumper sticker for my card that says, do what Kenn says. And by the way, Amanda, Twisted Sushi has arrived, and then departed because it's diaper time. So, and Amanda is a new mother, and the baby is doing well and learning things. So this is good. Learning how to eat.
Because if the last time there was a lady giving birth, she was doing it.
Yes.
I don't know if she's come back to this one.
I believe that was Amanda. I think
this one, because I just remember seeing the comment that said 2 to 3 centimeters dilated, and I was like, what?
I think so. Oh my gosh, that's great.
Yes, congratulations.
It's lovely to see you back, Amanda.
Yes. Chris, what do you have?
Right, I'm going to go with card number 40, and this partially, Gerald, ties in with your 3 choices. This is the Axis Mundi card, and I just found this one really fascinating. But what I love about it is the kind of cosmic scale of it. Because I mean, the 3 realms that we saw on the Serpent Daemon cards, the realm of earth, the realm of water, and the realm of air. And I just love the concept that Kenn came up with here, showing the goddess basically spanning all 3 of those realms. But then we also see the realms sort of, if you look closely at this, the background, these 3 realms actually form the trunk of the world tree, and you can see the branches sort of coming off from side to side. And I love this. This is the goddess in grand scale, triumphant, bearing the flaming torches, but literally, with her feet in the realm of earth and the tips of her torches in the realm of, the realm of the sky. I just love this. The Axis Mundi card, the goddess is the crux. So this basically shows, the world as we experience it, revolves around her. And to me, I love this kind of, she anchors it, she holds it all together, she unifies it, she connects it, she reconciles it. I love it. I just love it. And I just remember, I've just got very happy memories of creating this. And certain cards, when we were putting them together, we both just get this kind of sense of awe, when we were watching the images taking place. It's not the image per se, but I think it's the truth that image is beginning to reflect back to you. And this was one of them for me. And I still look at it and I just think, oh yeah, there's absolute divine majesty in that, and that's why I love it.
And I agree with you. I also think that this is one of those things that if if once people get this in their hands and they look at it and they work with it and they have their own personal experience with it, layers are going to unfold
Yeah.
and reveal themselves.
I mean, even for me as the artist, I started this journey knowing nothing of Hecate. You know, I come from a background of patriarchal spirituality. I had my own battle to break free of toxic religion. And the reason this deck was such a big blessing to me was because I felt that this was the goddess actually introducing herself to me as this was created through Kenn. So, you know, this is probably one of my most personal projects, you know, and it was certainly, I could say I was at the crossroads when we were creating this, because, you know, it's just opened whole new spiritual realms to me, and broke a lot of taboos. So, yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, that's amazing. Did you hear that, Kenn? Do I need to rewind it so you can hear?
No,
By the way,
I heard it. I heard it.
Okay.
Roughly translated into plain common English, I was a cynical old git when we started. I might have actually learned something.
So you're also saying that perhaps you were at a crossroads, and in the experience of the crossroads, you are now a deeper and more rich person.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. Because, you know, having had to sort of break free from, you know, really seriously toxic evangelical Christianity in my 20s. Yeah, and a lot of religious abuse, but also the programming of toxic evangelical Christianity, you know, really does, it demonizes goddess spirituality. It demonizes the feminine. And I think by the time Kenn approached me to do this, I think I was kind of far enough away and further enough along in my healing journey that I could begin to open myself to the feminine. And this, the creation of this was a major part in that for me. So that's why it is one of my most special projects. So
yeah. Thank you for joining us, Fran. And Tom said there are so many fantastic resources out there for devotion to Hecate. And I would say, yes, and this is just one of the better ones. And we're looking forward to the book. Or actually, aren't there 3 books?
Well, we'll try and get one first and see what
okay. And Beth said, while standing at the crossroads, he met Hecate, and she began to guide him. That actually seems more appropriate. So,
yeah.
I will say, when we are finished here, Kenn and I are going to figure out a time when he and I can do a laugh and learn about the goddess. So stay tuned for that. And yes, Kaylee, I agree. What an amazing story. I am going to, really looking forward to the book. I'm going to leave that up here while I take a sip.
Oh, hang on. That way, I'm pointing in the wrong direction. Yeah.
Actually, while I'm sat here, because obviously I've got you slightly smaller on the screen, I can actually see the file. It's here, literally staring me in the face. It's just to the left. I can see the file with the master draft, and I'm like, yes, I will carry on. I'll do more.
And you know, I'm not doing anything that you haven't, or I'm not saying anything that you haven't heard said to you before. So Free Spirit does want that laugh and learn. And the last card also reminds me of liberty and freedom, connection with the universe. Absolutely beautiful. It would make a great poster. So Birch, Calla Lizzie is here. So I am going to do something that neither of these guests are expecting. I'm going to hold up one more card, and I'm going to hold this up because it is card number 22. How do you pronounce that card?
Hang on, warm my tongue up. Aerototokia.
And it is the bearer of love. And the reason I am holding that up is because throughout this entire conversation, you have witnessed the love that these two gentlemen have for the project, for the goddess. And look, this is completely inclusive. Hekate loves you, period, because you are. You are, and that is enough for her. So, and so I appreciate that. And on that note, I am going to say thank you all very much for watching. Oh, here you go. We do have the question. Any plans for coffee mugs or small prints we can frame?
Ooh, we need to think about that, don't we?
That's I've been badgering him.
I can work on it. We need to set up a separate Redbubble shop, don't we, with a joint account, and then we'll sort something out. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah. That is cool. And Michelle Marie said, "I'm glad you got out and are experimenting, Chris.
Oh.
Cheers to authenticity."
Absolutely.
So, all right. Any last minute words before we close? Okay.
I think we said it all, haven't we?
It's been beautiful, and thank you
I
both.
really love this.
Yeah, for sharing space with us on this, and I appreciate everyone's time. And we will say farewell and thank you.
Thanks to everyone for being here. Yeah.
Thank you.
Take care.